I don't see why you don't just steal and cheat from the other successful circuits on tour. Like, why don't you steal and adopt the same thing that the ATP is doing in tennis, for example? Do see how they did it.
They want to adjust and reduce the number of tournaments that count towards the ranking. I don't understand what it means that they want the FIP's independence. Like, where's the issue between the FIP and Premier Padel? Like, when they say the Premier Padel has too much power,
So
and the FIP is not a regulatory, like, I don't understand actually concretely where's their issue with that.
If they hadn't gone through that gladiator battle with Paquito and Berga, I think they potentially win that match. So I think they're gonna lose before the semis in upcoming tournaments. So I'm taking, I think Suns wins the break. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Padel Pulse podcast, powered by TSH Padel. I'm Yousef.
Hi guys, I'm Ismaeel.
Hey guys, I'm Haroon.
So you guys have been asking, everyone has been asking, what's going on with Padel at the moment? All the talk about boycott, what's not happening, Gijon, what's happening with Gijon, talks about Cancun. So we decided to do a deep dive, and we're gonna get to, I guess not the bottom of this, but as much as we can to what's going on between both sides. So let's get into this as quickly as possible. And by the way, I have notes because I tried to do as much research as possible for this entire thing.
It was tough research for all the Spanish content we've been trying to read over the past couple days.
We tried, and we're gonna try our best to explain everything.
It's not easy making an English paddle podcast.
Yeah. So, and hopefully we can give you guys a clear view on what's going on. So I think the best way for us to do this is to break it down into 4 phases. So we're to talk about this entire Premier Padel drama that's going on. So we're going to talk, the first phase, we're going to talk about the players' demands. Then we're going to talk about the PPA statement, the Professional Players Association, and the statement that they gave. Then there was the Premier Padel response. And then lastly, we're going to talk about where are we now, okay? And then we'll move on to where do you guys think we go from here? So first off, let's talk about the demands that the players have. So as we know, what we do know is they have a few demands. So first of all, it was the draws. And they dislike what happened, as we saw in the Riyadh P1. The top 4 seeds started, as Haroon, you talked about this before, the top 4 seeds started from the round of 16 in a P1, which is the second highest level tournament you have.
That's equivalent to Masters 1000 in tennis. So that's the
exactly.
Tournament.
So imagine Djokovic starts from the round of 16 in a Masters 1000 tournament, which is wild.
Yeah,
this is not 250 in Belgrade, Serbia. So that was the thing, and which is credit to the top dogs, because the top dogs feel like that means you're not giving chance to the up and coming players, younger players, lower ranked players to find their way into these big tournaments, and they have to play the qualies and the distribution of points. So that was another thing. Pablo Cardona talked about this when he did an interview briefly talking about the point system. And at the moment, the FIP tournaments, which are the lower level tournaments below the Premier Padel. So you have the majors, you have the P1s, you have the P2s, and then you go down to the FIPs. And when you go down to the FIP tournaments, actually the gap between the FIP tournaments and the Premier Padel P2 tournaments isn't that big. Like, you can win 280 points in an FIP tournament if you win it in a FIP Gold. So the fact that...
And in a P2, how much can you win?
Which is another thing. You can win up to 500, but the thing is, even all P2 tournaments don't have the same amount of ranking points. Which is also another issue. So
that's the thing. Actually, the incoherence between the number of points that can be within the same level of tournament. So if you could play the P2 in Gijon, you'll get certain points, but the P2 in New Giza, Egypt, will be different points.
Yeah.
And so that's wild to have that type of discrepancy. Exactly. Tennis doesn't have that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's also something that the players want to be fixed. And the players also believe that the FIP is not an independent governing body at the moment, because they're so reliant. How Premier Padel is supposedly, you're supposed to have a separate entity, and they feel like maybe Premier Padel has too much power over them. Therefore, they're not independent, and they might be unbiased in certain situations. And lastly, they want professionalism from Premier Padel and FIP in general. So we saw what happened in Riyadh. First of all, like, maybe the rain was a big factor, but it kind of was a disaster in terms of organization, and I don't know if I want to say disaster, but the scheduling of matches and when to put the matches, and I guess there are some things we can't identify as fans from the outside, but players from the inside, the way everything is organized in general from the beginning of the tournament to the end of the tournament. And I think the players do their best to stay as classy as possible and give the fans the best product, but they don't talk about what's going on with the ins and outs of the professionalism and the organizational standpoint. So at the moment where we stand, these are the demands that the players have. Okay?
I don't understand what it means that they want the FIP's independence. Like, where's the issue between the FIP and Premier Padel? Like, when they say the Premier Padel has too much power,
So
and the FIP is not a regulatory, like, I don't understand actually concretely where's their issue with that.
And that's the gray area that we're all in at the moment. But the FIP is supposed to be the governing body. They are not supposed to be. So the ITF, for example, in tennis, and you have the ATP and WTA. At the end, they are supposed to the ITF is the bigger umbrella that they fall under. So the FIP should have more power, and I think what the players see is maybe that the Premier Padel has more power in a way than
but
the FIP.
ITF, the lower tournaments are the ITF tournaments, right?
Yeah.
The
But they gave an example of
Well,
the
same thing,
UEFA
yeah.
and the FIFA also. So the UEFA and FIFA, something's supposed to be a little bit similar, you know.
Okay, it's a bit unclear to me.
Yeah,
What's
so
their
that's also
objection to
unclear
that?
to me exactly what they want from that, and so that's one of the things. You know, we're trying to give as clear as a picture as we can, but some things are fuzzy.
I also read, so according to Marca, so to add on what are the demands of the players, what I understand from Marca is that they want to adjust and reduce the number of tournaments that count towards the ranking.
Yeah, also so that because the number of tournaments that they play in the season, I guess it affects the ranking. They take your best tournaments. I don't remember exactly the number. If we can find out how many tournaments they take.
So they want like your best 14 tournaments to count towards your ranking
I'm
or
guessing.
I
something
think
like that?
they're about
that's one of the
total.
things.
There are 22 tournaments total at the Premier Padel for in a year.
Yeah.
So
And they
wanna
wanted more
just
tournaments.
reduce that.
So, but those were the main demands that we do know of, and
then they also mentioned legal review of the 2022 contract and some of its clauses.
Well, that comes back to I guess it comes back to, which also we want to get into is this entire back and forth of the P2s, and we're gonna get into that. But let me just get into what happens next. So those were the demands from the players, okay, and. What was the response from Premier Padel? They had some negotiations, and they...
You want to talk about their statement from the PPA or no? Or
No.
that's everything that was mentioned?
No, I said I'm gonna talk about the demands, then I'm gonna talk about the PPA statement, and then I'm gonna talk about Premier Padel's latest response that we have. Okay. So then, as everyone knows, nothing happened, and they decided to boycott Gijon. None of the top 100 players, it's actually going on at the moment. None of the top 100 players are there. They all have boycotted.
I mean, I think I commend them for really sticking up for all the smaller, non-powerful players. I think it's admirable to see that.
Some of the fans are not.
They
upset,
also
though.
funnily in the. Sorry.
Some of the fans are not happy with this move because I think it's especially Spanish fans from Gijon that are not going to be able to watch them, so they're upset.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't blame them. I wouldn't blame them either if I was a fan in Gijon. But it's the funny thing from the statement from the PPA is they said that it was not a coordinated boycott. Like every player took the decision on their own.
Yeah, I guess obviously it wasn't, but I think what the PPA was trying to say, and which is what I want to get into next, is their statement. And let's just summarize. We're not going to get into everything, but the main things were, first of all, as you said, Ismaeel, the thing about the boycotting the tournament. They said they did not encourage anyone to boycott the tournament. This is a decision that they made, and if anyone was going to play the tournament, they were gonna support them, and anyone who decided not to play, they were also gonna support them. So they believe that so what they're stating is the boycott did not come from the PPA themselves. So that is something that needs to be said. And the next thing they also stated was the players are not obliged to play P2. So this is a big one that we're gonna get into more. But they are saying that they do not need to play P2s. Premier Padel said, should be playing P2s. So that's something they stated again. And also the players believe that they want this to, and I guess also the FIP and Premier Padel, everyone wants this sport to become an Olympic sport. And they believe with what's going on at the moment and how all these demands that they have and everything that hasn't been going the way that they expect it to go, the path to becoming an Olympic sport is not that clear if you continue in the same direction. So those were the main. So if you include all of those were the main things that the players wanted, that the PPA also was stating, and that's what we know at the moment from what the players want. Okay, so which takes us to the third phase, and that is the Premier Padel's response.
Which is
boy, was this a response.
Absolute mayhem.
Yeah. This they came out guns blazing.
That was
so obviously
craziest
before
craziest
this
response you could have to something like that. It was quite intense.
It was intense, and I guess they're not happy. And I guess from if you look at it from the players' perspective, it's working because
I guess so.
this is the second, by the way. This is the second letter that they sent the players. They told them that first of all, the boycotting of Gijon. If you actually do this, there's going to be legal action maybe towards you guys. So we suggest you guys reconsider.
That's
nothing changed.
They
stood their ground.
Suggest everybody that wants to continue in this boycott to legal up, to find some legal counsel if you want to move forward with this boycott.
Yeah, exactly.
Wild.
So to talk about the main points of the Premier Padel's response. Obviously, this was a letter sent to all the players. So first of all, they accused the PPA of misinformation, and actually they're the ones who are damaging the Olympic dream and the growth of paddle in general by doing what they're doing at the moment. I guess they are accusing them of being behind the boycott. So so this is how we're trying to give you guys the picture of both sides, and then each person decides who's doing it the right way, who's doing it the wrong way, based on the information that we have. This is the information that we have, and we're going to give you guys all the information we have. We have nothing to hide. So all of us can reach a conclusion which is unbiased, hopefully. And also they want to clarify that the P2s are mandatory. The players are mandated to play the P2s, and the players that are boycotting these tournaments will have severe consequences from a legal perspective. So that's also something else. And they wanted to reiterate that also because they're saying...
And they said, sorry, just to add to your point.
Go ahead,
They said that that's easily explained in a legal way that it is mandatory. So the players are saying it's not mandatory, and they have no... it's not stated anywhere that they have to play any tournaments. And especially, we saw that, Bergamini said, show me where it's written and I'll go play and sign up to anything. But then the Premier Padel responded by saying, no, this is very clear and it's easily demonstrable that it is mandatory. So continue.
Yeah.
And that's what they, I think when they say they want to review the 2022 clauses in the contract, I think it's related directly to this idea
it's probably one of them.
Playing in P2s.
Yeah, but so that's the gray area that we're actually operating with at the moment. And also this is in response, right? So also another point is they're talking about how the Premier Padel hasn't shown professionalism in organization, all these different things. And they say, well, guess what? We actually put tens and millions of dollars into this sport and into the circuit. So the idea of that we're not giving this the care and focus and I guess investment that this sport deserves is false, because they put in so much money into the sport. And also another one is that they're saying they gave the PPA over 1.1 million euros to finance them. So that's also another statement.
Use at their own at their own expense and their own freedom, however they see fit.
Yeah. So those are a few, and then also they denied their lack of commitment to the players, and they announced an advisory committee, which is going to include all parties involved, and that's a good one. From the outside looking in, you need to have someone representing each player within the system. And then they also said that they will not be held hostage and give in to this boycott. So that was, and they said we're not going to deal with the reality show that they're trying to play with us.
They also said that they're not going to be held hostage
words.
to another boycott that happened last summer. So there was another boycott that happened.
Yeah, I guess.
So they're not going to be held hostage to another boycott ever again.
Yeah.
We'll see what that means.
Yeah, and they're I think they're disappointed big time, because they also stated how this is coming at a time, and Ismaeel, you talked about this last week, where Padel is actually doing great. Last week in Riyadh, you had Cristiano Ronaldo was there, and they're talking about someone like Cristiano who was able to stream on his gigantic YouTube channel both the semifinals and finals. So
750,000 people watched.
So these are all points so that was also Premier Padel's like, my guys, what you guys are doing right now is actually destructive.
Yeah,
and they actually
the momentum.
They called it in the statement. They said one of the darkest and most destructive days, in the history of Padel. Self-destructive days in the history of Padel. So that's what you guys are getting from the Premier Padel. They are not happy whatsoever with what's going on. And so they conclude this by saying what they're doing right now is going to have effects on the players mostly, and the damage could be severe and irreversible.
And another point about the president of the PPA.
That was my last point. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That one they said condemning that the president of the PPA, which is some people who do not know, that's Alex Ruiz, who is one of the top
Captain
10 padel players in the world. He's the president of the PPA, and they're condemning him for going to sign up to play in the A1 tournament in South America, and in the midst of Gijon, and that's also like a competitor tour, and you're helping them, and you're also like against the tour that you're playing in, and that said, that was the hypocrisy there, that you're going to help another circuit and you're self-destructive against your own, and that was flat out went and
as
took
of
shots
late,
at Alex Ruiz.
As of late, Alex Ruiz and Alex Chozas are, I think, no longer on the sign-up list. So maybe it was just a chess move by Alex Ruiz, what we're capable of. So now, last phase is, where are we now? Where we're now is that the P2 Cancun is coming up after Gijon, and guess what? Everyone's not playing that one also. They are doubling down, and nothing has changed. The only people that we do have signed up is Juan Teo and Tino Libak. They are signed up, but nobody outside those two.
And they're probably going to withdraw, I would imagine.
I'm guessing withdrawals are going to happen.
They probably signed up a long time ago.
Yeah, their names have been on the list for a while, so to be fair to them, to be fair, they can do whatever they want. But so that's where they are. And also, like you said, Haroon Bergamini talked about that they don't have to play P2s. And Paquito said with a cryptic tweet saying like they're doing this, we're doing what we're doing right now. And
Groundhog Day.
And
tweeted Groundhog Day.
So P2 in Cancun is currently off the cards for the top guys, and but P1 Miami coming up after that. At the moment, we do have Chingoto and Galan signed up, and I think maybe Cuello. I think Cuello not yet, but Cuello also, I think there's a connection there.
Cuello has a connection to America, so maybe he's going to go to America just because of...
He's a reserve paddle player.
Yeah.
They believe they should play P1, so the issues with P2s. So.
Yeah, so they feel like they're able to boycott P2s and not suffer any consequences. So this is where we stand. And these are all the phases. These are all the messages, all the responses, all the demands, all the responses to the demands. So I put out the groundwork I laid out everything that's going on to our knowledge. So Ismaeel, where do you think we go from here?
Yeah, I don't know. I think when you compare, Padel to other big leagues, the move is towards player empowerment, and so you really kind of have to support the players and what they ask for. For the most part, I think the demands of the players are reasonable. This idea that to make the P1s bigger so you can have more players, support young and up-and-coming players so you can have a better tour that can have more and more players that can then live off a paddle career and to get new stars, get new competition. So I think that's very fair. The unifying the point system, I think that's a very realistic ask. I think they've already moved towards fixing that one. So as far as I'm concerned, that makes sense to me. The optionality of P2s, I mean, I guess that should be fair as well. I mean, I don't think that's a big issue. For me, the asks are quite reasonable. There is no realistic difference.
But where do we go from here? What happens?
Well, I think.
What do you think happens?
I think that the Premier Padel Tour has to, agree.
Who has the power? Do the players have the power? Does Premier Padel have the power?
I think the players showed they have the power right now because they are unified. I think the GIS game theory that we're seeing play out live when Premier Padel is like, yeah, we double down, we're going to boycott, we're going to give you legal consequences, lawyer up everyone. I think that's going to make them, boycott more or withdraw more, because if one person does not, then they're all going to get screwed because they cannot compete with Qatari money and their lawyering activities. So I think it's good. There's this advisory committee or whatever. It's a shame that did come out right after the Cristiano Ronaldo stream of the final, because Padel was in a really nice momentum. We had a really nice final. But I think the tour is going to have to accept most of these demands for the most part. I don't know if they're going to get if in return they have to play the P2s, fine. My issue is that from the majors to the P1 to the P2, they're all the same. Like in tennis, it's different. You have best of 5, and you have best of 3. Like, what's the difference other than the size of the draw? So at least add some nuance then to these P2s. Like Paquito has suggested, in the off season, maybe a different surface, maybe a different format, something that makes the P2 more interesting. It's the exact same. So why do they need to play a P2? It's just a smaller draw. No, they don't need. I think they need to be creative here. Look for some creative solutions. But I think the tour will have to accept most of the reforms they're asking for. And I think it will be good for Padel if they do that. It might cost them a bit more, but I think it's good.
Haroon, where do we go from here, my man?
I don't see why you don't just steal and cheat from the other successful circuits on tour. Like, why don't you steal and adopt the same thing that the ATP is doing in tennis, for example? See how they did it, how the ATP is much more established and has a system that has been going on for a long time. So you can steal some ideas from there to have a consistent and solid tour. But at the same time, like, just to point out, the players have 100% the leverage here, and they're the ones that have the power. Because I'm watch Galen, Tapia, Lebron, Stupa, Dineno, Garrido, Ausberger. I'm not watching because it's Premier Padel. Like, I'm not going to see who do they have to offer. I'm seeing where are the players going to play. So if the players just decide to leave and go play in A1, everybody's going to start watching A1. If players decide to bring back World Padel Tour, everybody's going to start watching World Padel Tour. And people merge to watching Premier Padel because the top players are going there, and then they closed up.
Because the players went there. The players decided.
Exactly.
They decided.
Exactly.
They all signed contracts. Like, also, we have to. Premier Padel is young. This is their second. We're not even into like a month of their second official season.
Yeah.
Before there was the World Padel Tour, and they had a few tournaments, and it was like last year was the first full proper year. So like, you're young. It's a young tour.
Yeah. So what's your point with the young tour? So what do you mean?
No, I'm just saying, like, it's not like they're not established in any way, shape, or form where this is what we look like, this is how we are. It's a malleable thing. At the moment.
But that's why I mean, like, it's no problem for them to be, accepting the demands of the players and saying, okay, yeah, fine, let's do this and do that and change things up. Like, it's not like, okay, we're gonna do this and this is how we've been doing it and now it's fixed. And it's shameful for you to ask for for demands and whatever and demand anything to be different. And also fine. Maybe in devil's advocate could say that the Hexagon Cup in the Reserve Cup and whatever, maybe they didn't get that many eyes, but I think because people know that they were exhibitions, so people weren't focusing on them. Yeah. I think with exhibitions in like
preseason. Can I add something here? Like also the Premier Padel in their statement, they also talked about how the players played in these exhibitions like Hexagon Cup and whatnot. So they played tournaments that were actually only beneficial to them. So to the top players, so they weren't thinking of younger players. I think I don't remember exactly that point, but they also they also threw some daggers their way for playing exhibitions and only caring.
And it's a fair point to make, right? Yeah. I think it seems the biggest thing here is the P2s. Let's have a different point scale for the difference between P2s and FIPs.
We're also talking about this lack of professionalism thing.
I don't know what that means, honestly, but also, like, as a fan, I really want to see P2s be different at least then. Like, give me back deciding point then in the P2.
That's something, by the way.
Give me golden point in the, like, give me something.
No, it's right, because I 100% agree with you. The fact that I'm watching every tournament, it's the same exact thing.
It's the exact same. A P2 is just less players, less money.
In tennis, I'm hyped for Wimbledon much more than I'm hyped for the Queen's 500. But in padel, I'm gonna watch the P1, and if they had played Gijon, I was gonna watch. Like, it was the same level. Like, so it's not anything extra.
Yeah. So they need
something needs to change. Lots of things need to change, and tennis isn't perfect either. Lots of things needs to be changed. So it's not, but there are things that you feel like, okay, they put the system in place. The ATP, for example, has been in place since 1990. So you're talking about 35 years of successful model for tennis or for a tour. Take things from them. They are taking some, but not all. But this doesn't look good, because Premier Padel at the same time. The fact that they've only been in this for 1 year, don't have that much skin in the game. They can be like, okay, man.
Are they going to lock up?
We're not going to invest in this sport anymore. This is no longer worth the money or the headache. So let's just boom. Let's close shop. And then what do the players have then?
A1. That's all
they have A1, and
that's it. And
I don't follow A1 that much. Not that much. Like.
But you don't follow A1 because nobody's playing there, because nobody and
no, there are some younger players. There's Tolito and Gonza, and they're like, so yeah, but in a way, but
fine.
No, but they need the tour. They need the Premier Padel. They need the capital that they've poured in. They need that.
So the players need them too.
They do.
They both need each other.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's not like. Obviously, it's the chicken and the egg, because the players need the tour, and the tour needs players, and the player needs a tour, and the tour needs players.
Yeah, but you can, like, if they just decide, for example, to make a player-run tour only in Spain, and they sell out all their events that they have in Spain, like they were selling out and filling the stadiums all the time when they were playing in Spain and Argentina and South America. So let's say Alex Ruiz and all the top guys decide to pull in a bunch of investment, okay, and we create our own new tour now, only in Spain or in places in South America. They can survive. Like, they're not making that much money anyways right now either. So it's not like, oh, they're like making it rain with all the money they're getting from the Premier Padel tournaments. Like, it's A1 Padel players are getting paid more. Tolito, when he won a tournament, he was getting paid more than when Stupa won a tournament or when Tapia won something. So it's like, it's not a very strong case for needing the Premier Padel right now either. I think maybe if they start to like up the money, the prize money and stuff like that, and maybe change a little for the system, then maybe things start to get attractive and like, okay, maybe we really need Premier Padel. But Premier Padel is not looking so great at the moment. And I
think that's a good point. I think
sorry.
I think Haroon, you're right on that. The players, they get only 18% of total revenue, which is like much less than other sports, apparently.
Which they're saying, they said that it's an unprecedented amount of prize money that's being injected for padel players and the padel circuit and all that. Fine, it's unprecedented and historic, but still that's not enough to survive as a professional padel player. And just to add also an example of what happens in the NBA, like your product is the NBA players. All of you can. If you don't have Steph, if you don't have LeBron James, if you don't have Kevin Durant, I really doubt how many people are going to watch the NBA. Like, you're watching because of these players and everybody that is around them, around LeBron James and whoever he's playing with, whoever's playing with Steph and Luke and all the insane superstars. So it's the same idea. If you don't have your top, if you don't have Tapia, imagine Padel without Tapia. Imagine Padel without Galan or LeBron. Like, with all due respect to all of the other players and all up and coming players, but these guys have been masters in the craft. They're super talented and perfecting everything about Padel. You're gonna have to really start from zero, and you're gonna really have to create new players or something, and creating a bigger pool that is okay. It's about the product of what the circuit gives you, not one individual player, and you just have a bunch of players. Fine, maybe, but that's like you don't have that leverage at the moment. So all what I'm saying is just it's a star-driven league, and you should protect your stars. And the NBA and other big leagues like that, you protect your stars and you make sure that they're empowered. So you should care for the players, and then hopefully you have a good circuit.
Premier Padel stays on.
Yeah, I think it'll stay on. Yeah, hopefully, yeah. You're thinking it's gonna stay? It's gonna turn off?
I don't know.
I think
I don't know at the moment.
No, I think it will stay on. I would just. I don't think we might not get Cancun, but they'll be back on in Miami.
No, we're not. The thing is, the registration for Cancun and Miami, they both close at the same exact time. So we're gonna see.
I think we'll get Miami.
So far, we have some top guys that signed up for Miami, so which is good news. But yeah, but the thing is, if they boycott P2s, most of the tournaments in the tour aren't P1s and majors, so they're P2s. So
well, they're gonna.
You have like 8 or 9, I think.
I think they're gonna play Miami, and then we'll see after that.
Like if I have to, like, I only get to watch the top 100 players once a month. It's not fun.
Yeah. Something's gonna have to give.
Yeah, something's gonna have to give. So, well, that's that. You guys, we would love to hear your comments on the entire situation and where do you think we go from here. And if you have any more information, please let us know. But we do have a tournament going on. P2 Gijon is going on.
It's still happening.
Yep. All the women are there, by the way. This is all a men's issue. The women are playing in Gijon. The women have not boycotted. The women are playing in Cancun. And, it's actually fun. Because as fans, they can boycott, but also let's try to make the most of what we have.
Yeah.
And
the women are going to get a lot more eyeballs this tournament.
They are. And some which is an amazing news for people that are outside. Can you imagine? So on my way here, I was thinking, like, can you imagine, for example, in tennis, just you're a player who's grinding on the Challenger Tour, then all of a sudden you have a chance to play an ATP 500 like we just saw, like in Dubai.
Not just play, you might be seated.
You
might be seated 1, 2.
It's a miracle that's happening before your very eyes.
It's huge. It's
a gigantic chance for so many like lower ranked and young players to take in the moment, to make the most of this opportunity.
100%.
So that's something I'm looking forward to. I hope you guys are looking forward to it the same way. We're gonna see good paddle, by the way. This is like, it's not, when you go to 150, there's some young guys, people coming from A1. You're still gonna watch really good paddle, not top level paddle, but some very enjoyable paddle. So as we get into this tournament, let's talk about a few of the people that we should be looking out for in this Gijon tournament.
And there are a lot, huh?
There are some, yeah. Do you have any that you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I really like, it's kind of like a miracle in disguise, like you just mentioned. And I always like to look out for these young guys.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm happy that this happened. I'm low-key happy because I'm forced to learn about some new players, and I really get the chance to know more about what's beyond the top guys.
Yeah.
And I'm always on the lookout for young guys. You guys know I love Ausberger and Cardona. And I really like this young 16 and 17-year-old couple. You have Mariano Gonzalez and Coquito Zamora, who's only 16. These guys are going to be playing this. They're just playing today. And they're really interesting pairing. These players have a lot of talent. Their bodies are not fully developed. They probably don't have the firepower of the top guys, or even like Ausberger, Lieback type, who have a lot of power.
Yeah.
But these guys are fun. They've been apparently in the A1. They've been doing really well. They had a breakout season last year. They were challenging a lot of the top pairings there. And this team is is special, huh? Yeah. And these two players are really, really good. And I can't wait to see what they do here.
Let's see. Haroon, how about you? Do you have any?
Yeah, I do have a team, which is I have Enzo. Boris Castro and Enzo Jensen. So Enzo Jensen is the brother
Claudia
of,
Jensen.
Claudia
Jensen.
Wait, crap. Yeah, Claudia Jensen, who is a top 10 player on the women's side, who's a beast, who is Argentinian. So, but the funny thing is that he is Italian, but he was born in Madrid, and he's paired up with Boris Castro, who is born in Douala in Cameroon, and he's Spanish, which is a fun but diverse combo. They're beasts. They just came off winning an FIP silver tournament together, and they picked up some nice points. They picked up some 80 points, so now they're seeded 5, and they just beat actually today. At the time of filming this, they beat the Qatari couple, which is the legendary sports journalist, sports broadcaster Mohamed Sadoun, and his partner also Abdullah Haji. They beat them easy, 6-2, 6-love. And I saw them, I watched them. They're quite fun couple, and they're quite young. So Enzo Jensen he was born in 2006, and he just barely got a year under his belt. And also Boris Castro, also same thing, just barely got a year under his belt, but he's 1998, a little bit older. But it's nice, maybe they get some more playing time and get some more experience. And I'm looking forward to see what they do. Maybe they could go deep. They could win it. Who knows?
Some nice names. Also, we need to mention this man, Tolito Aguirre, and Gonza Alfonso. These guys coming off an amazing win in FIP Gold in Portugal, beating Haroon, your favorite team, the Deutsch brothers, in a final set. So
that's a great win. Yeah, the Deutsch brothers are tough.
Yeah, so they're trying to make their way into Premier Padel. So imagine Tolito wants to make his way in, and wow, this opens up. This boycott happens. Let me just gain some points.
It's
so
a perfect in.
They are probably the favorites for this tournament right now.
They're seeded 1, right? And so they are the favorites.
No, they're seeded 3 actually.
3.
Yeah,
okay.
They're seeded 3. But
no, they're not seeded 1. They're not
also
seeded
because
1.
they haven't played in many Premier Padel or FIP tournaments. Well, someone I do also want to give some light here and give him the spotlight is Yousef Hassam, Egyptian player. And he's, I was recently looking into people that have converted from tennis to paddle and how good they've done. Is it possible? So we have, obviously, Sofia Araujo was a tennis player, but I think she switched to paddle in 2013. So she has over 12 years of paddle in her under her belt. And we have the Deutsch brothers from Portugal also. So all 3 from Portugal. Also, they made the switch from tennis to paddle. I think they made their switch around 2018, so more recent. And so also Yousef Hassam was a junior world number 7 in tennis.
So he's a tennis sensation.
Yeah, so this is a talented player, and he made the transition to paddle, and here he is. He's getting the chance to play, be seeded in a P2 tournament, which is something he was never going to have. So can he make the most of it? And we know just how many.
Not only seeded, but also gets a bye. Seeded and gets a bye.
Seeded and gets a bye. Seeded 4 at the moment. He's going to play against Coquito, the guys that you're looking out for. So it would be nice to see him against these young guys.
Match.
He's
already won a main draw match before in the Premier Padel.
Made history. He was the first Arab ever to win a match.
First African, I think, as well. So he made a lot of history that day. So
in P1 or P2 or just Premier Padel in general? I don't remember exactly.
I think it was in
Dubai.
Yeah, I know it was a P1, but was it the first ever win in Premier Padel or in a P1 in general?
I think
first main draw win. I think
it was ever.
Yeah.
Anything.
So it was, So I guess it was a step up. Like you can't compete at this stage. So let's see what he does this week. I'm gonna be looking out for that. And one other name I'd like to look out for is Nacho Alonso. Can you guys guess whose brother?
Is it Edu?
Edu Alonso. He's Edu Alonso's younger brother.
least.
Yeah, so he's been playing A1 this past season and
Playing on the right as well.
Yep. So he's exactly like his older brother. Older brother, by the way, news for him. He moved from head to knocks for people that are interested in those type of things.
We still have to talk
so-
about what that entails.
Yeah. So I want to see. I like when there's a connection to an older brother. Sometimes you want to see. Ooh, are they the same? Are they as good? Are they going to be?
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to see them.
So yeah. So those are some of the names. Obviously, much more, and we're gonna get familiarized with much more players throughout this week. Excited for it, and yeah, that's going to be fun.
And just
We're gonna
also
get into our who you got.
shed light on the seeded one. Seeded one. That's also something that might not happen ever for him again. It's his let me say his name, Simone Cremona. It's an Italian beast, ranked 105, seeded one at the tournament.
Gonna be
Who's
fun.
his partner?
I don't know, some Spanish guy.
That's his name is Jauri Romero Barcelo.
Hey.
Yeah.
These dudes are probably good.
Well, we're gonna educate ourselves more and more on paddle. We do think we're hardcore fans, but I guess we're gonna become more hardcore this week.
Yeah.
Thanks to
I'm already a hardcore Coquito fan.
thanks to these players. Excited to see how it goes. But before we get into our who you gots, we need to talk about this one thing. Not talk about this. Is a question that we always ask ourselves in the off season when two people that have been playing with each other for an entire season leave each other and go their separate ways. So the question is, who wins the breakup? This is a new segment I think we're going to be doing whenever silly season happens. And let's do it now. We didn't get to do it last week. So I'm going to tell you guys two players that broke up and you tell me who's going to win the breakup. First up, Stupa, who was playing with Yanguas. Stupa joined LeBron. Yanguas joined Koki Nieto. Who wins the breakup? Ismaeel.
I'm gonna go with Stupa. I just have so much for the respect for the quality of Stupa. He's a top player for years now, and he's so mentally solid. He's so fit. I love his body language. I think he's a great partner too. I'm going with Stupa here.
Maybe he wins that breakup because he's with LeBron.
Yeah, also he has LeBron. So
Who wins that one?
Yeah, like what in the world are you even asking? Anybody that plays with the beast, Juan LeBron, the wolf himself, obviously that's going to be, you immediately win the breakup. But other than that, Stupa already himself is a great player, and he was the one that leveled up Yanguas' game. So he's the one that took Yanguas and leveled him up and gave him the position where he is now to be seeded 4 at the tournament. So yeah, for 100% sure that Stupa and LeBron are going to win the breakup. Well, Stupa's going to win it with LeBron.
Yeah, to say, building on your point, I think Stupa took Yanguas to another level. And I honestly see Yanguas as a potential world #1 player. So, and I'm going to say this again until he tells me himself, why in the world is he joining Koki Nieto again? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. Stupa, LeBron are amazing. Definitely Stupa won this by far.
really?
Yeah.
But you had Galan and Shungoto breaking up, and so Yanguas potentially could move to Galan.
I want that to happen so badly.
So then you would take Yanguas if you believe that Yanguas gets
No,
Galan, then he wins that breakup.
No,
then.
but at the moment, that's not the case. The case is he's with Koki Nieto.
Okay.
So that's not the
making
case.
sense. Adding some spice.
Speaking of Koki Nieto, who wins the breakup? The Barcelona Masters winners. Koki Nieto joined Yanguas. John Sanz joined Momo Gonzalez. Who wins the breakup, Haroon?
No, I think Nieto is going to win that breakup with Yanguas over Momo and Sanz because they have one higher ranking, and I think they are better defensively and more consistent, and they have a little bit more. I don't know. I feel like they're strategically a little bit better and smart, and they're going to be able to go deeper in tournaments. So Nieto and Yanguas are a better team.
Ismaeel.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Nieto and Yanguas because I think Yanguas, again, he's a better player. So Sanz and Momo, I don't think they have enough firepower. I don't think they complement each other enough. I don't think Nieto and Yanguas complement each other very well either, but they're just a little bit better, like Haroon's saying. Although I think this part of the rankings is a bit murky. I think we're going to see movement there, but I still would take Nieto. Yeah.
These two teams are very close. I think, like, even though Nieto and Yanguas are higher ranked, I feel like they're a close team. Like if they play against each other, I would be on the fence. Who should I pick? I'm gonna say that Momo and that Sens actually wins this breakup.
Really?
Yeah, because this Nieto Yangos thing, I honestly don't know how it makes sense. So I'm sticking with that same chain of thought, and I think Momo and Sens.
They made the semi.
They made the semi because they're supposed to make a semi.
Yeah, it's a pure ranking move. I told you,
they
it's a pure
played
ranking
against
move.
a tired Juan Teo and Tino Libac. If they hadn't gone through that gladiator battle with Paquito and Berga, I think they potentially win that match. So I think they're gonna lose before the semis in upcoming tournaments. So I'm taking, I think Suns wins the breakup.
Hindsight,
Not 100% convinced, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys want to do another one, a last one?
Do it.
Okay.
Go, let's keep them
So we had last year we had Chozas and Augsburger playing with each other. They were in nasty bombarderos. They were a good team. Left each other. We saw Chozas joined Alex Ruiz. Augsburger joined Pablo Cardona. Who wins that breakup, Haroon?
Yeah, I think that's an easy answer, and the question has been answered for us, kind of, and it's much easier now.
It's one tournament.
We saw how Cardona and Augsburger, shocked the world while beating Galan and Chingotto. So yeah, obviously I would say Cardona and Augsburger, because you already have that win that's gonna propel you to the forward like much stronger than somebody that still hasn't done it yet, like Chozas and Ruiz still. So yeah, Augsburger and Cardona are gonna win that break.
How about you, Ismaeel?
Hey, I love Augsburger and I love the pairing with Cardona. I just think in today's game, when you have that much firepower, you're going to do better off. Although I love the Chozas Ruiz pairing. I root for them.
I love Chozas, and I think he's going to find his way to the top here. And also he can play on the left. He can play on the right. He can play on both sides. He has some nasty shots, so much power. But Augsburger Cardona seems like because I think Alex Ruiz is on the way down, not on the way up. Unless he proves me wrong. But Augsburger probably wins this breakup.
Yeah.
We can do a few more, but let's stick with those for now. Maybe we can do some next week. But before we go, as we talked about Gijon, so many new faces, so many new names. Lots of us aren't familiar with. But I need to ask you guys, who you got in Gijon? Ismaeel.
Well, we just talked about him. He's the magician. He's all over Instagram with his touch, his clips, his smashes, his behind-the-back magic. I'm going with Tolito, Aguirre, and Gonza. I like them for the title here.
Oh, Haroon, how about you?
I'm taking the Egyptian and the partnered with the Argentinian. I'm taking Yousef Houssam. I'm taking Julian Lacamore.
Wow.
Wow, that's interesting.
Is that a pick made by the heart? Or
No. Let me explain. First of all, Yousef Houssam and Julian both won tournaments before, and this is kind of like an FIP tournament a bit, and I think that they're seeded, so that's going to help their run as well. So yeah, they're going to win it.
Well, that would be nice to see. But if you ask me, my friend, I cannot pick against the magicians. The magicians. Tolito, Aguirre, and Gonza Alfonso. I love these guys when they play.
Over and under 15 trick shots this tournament.
Oh my God. They make up trick shots. I think they're going to make up new trick shots that we haven't seen before. I can't wait to see them play, and I think they win this tournament. Yeah. Well, on the women's side, we said everyone is there, huh? Everyone's there. Ismaeel, who wins?
I told you guys I love Sofia Araujo, but after what I saw last tournament, I'm going with Ari and Paula. They just dominated. They're solid.
The queens.
They're the top.
Haroon, how about you?
I'm taking. I wanted to go for Gemma Triay and Delphi Bray, but I have to go for Ari Sanchez and Paula Jose Maria. They're not going to face anybody until the final, so it's so easy for them. Only one match. They play one match. So yeah, I have to take them unless the rankings change and the draw changes a bit. So probably. Paula Jose Maria and Ari Sanchez are going to win it.
I was so close to taking Bea Gonzalez and Cody Jensen because I love the team, but I think I can't get bet against these queens. Paula and Ari, they're going to win this tournament. I can't see it going any other way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that wraps up another show here at the Padel Plus podcast. Subscribe to get your weekly news of everything happening in the Padel world, and let us know what you think of our takes in the comments.
See you guys next week. ¡Vamos, vamos, vamos!